Pleased to be able to have an opportunity to chat with Quincy Ward 2 City Councilor Brad Kroll before his resignation. Hey, Brad, Happy New Year.
Joe, Happy New Year. Good morning. Good morning to all the at-home viewers at QATV. Nice to be with you here on this brisk January morning.
Great to see you. It's been a little while since we chatted. I appreciate you reaching out. I think you stunned a lot of your colleagues and myself when you made your announcement last week.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of factors that went into it, Joe. As you know, I think, we've had a really good working relationship for the last 9 years. I put everything I have, my whole heart and soul into this job. And it takes a lot of time, but it requires a lot of time, right? I've always looked at it as if you can't go at something 110%, well, maybe you shouldn't do it. And, after long thought and consideration and really talking to my wife, based on my family dynamic, I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and we're expecting our third child. The handwriting was on the wall that I wouldn't have the time I believe is absolutely necessary to be an effective ward counselor. With that, I probably could continue on, but I feel like in my heart of hearts would be giving a disservice to the people that I represent. And look at the whole procedure now of being pregnant during COVID. That's a whole nother set of circumstances. So, my kids are young; they're starting to get involved, with different activities, and my number one job, as you know, because I'm pretty, staying on the show fairly frequently over the years, is to be a good dad and be a good husband. And, right now, my family needs me, and that's where I need to be, and that's where I want to be.
Well, I mean, you served for almost 10 years. You did a lot in that period of time, I'm sure. What are some of the things that you feel proud of, most accomplished, I guess?
Yeah, I just asked my wife that same question about 15 minutes ago. I'm like, what did I do for the last 9 years? Because honestly, it's probably one of my biggest challenges. I was never let's climb to the top of the mountain and say, hey, look at what I'm doing. It's just, check the box and move on. There's plenty of work to do. You get stuff done. I would say my biggest accomplishment is, honestly, I always kept it real. And I say that in an environment right now, nationally, where you see, not a lot of that sort of real approach taking place. I always put the people first. I did a lot of listening, and I feel like out of listening, that's the number one tool in the toolbox. You got to listen to people. That was like a moment I just felt like I was a senior. I've been here for a while, yeah, but it's true. You got to listen to people, and I would have these ongoing coffee hours where we would just kind of meet as a community, and people would express sort of their thoughts, ideas, and concerns, and out of that came a lot of good work. I always remained very active and connected to the senior buildings I represent, several, Quincy Housing Authority properties, and obviously 1000 Southern Artery. And I always felt like I was a strong voice for some folks that, may not have that level of comfortability to speak out for themselves. And I was tested early on in my career with an issue we had going on at Pegnana Towers with respect to the elevator. We had, there were 2 running elevators, then they were down to no running elevators, and they were down to 1 running elevator, or up to 1 running elevator, and enough was enough. And, we went through we did what we had to do, but there were 2 operating elevators in a senior building with multiple flights, and those are serious situations where you got to step up and you got to lead. And there's regardless of some of the peripheral things that may happen, people's lives are at stake, and access, particularly during an emergency, was in question. And I just always felt like I needed to be, a strong voice for seniors, particularly. Um, and as a result, the relationships that I formed with the senior community has been like incredible. And although this is a very difficult decision for me, and I'm sure it'll be a mess tonight at the last city council meeting, but I built some really, really good relationships with the senior community, and in like this kind of weird way, they've almost become like an extension of my family. And again, like they knew me, spry young 30-year-old Brad Kroll, single, young, no children, and they've seen me sort of grow into, a husband and a father of one, a father of two, and coming into a father of three. It's really kind of a unique journey, if you will. But you talk about like accomplishments, like being able to be, an outspoken voice for the senior community is something that is really special to me. And we've got a lot done for that constituency. I was, saying to my wife, like jokingly, like, well, what exactly, would you say we've accomplished? And early on, this is probably one of the coolest things I ever did. I had this idea because again, I would visit a lot of these buildings, Joe, and I know like socialization as we mature in life is like a huge thing. Just having the ability to go out with your friends and sort of commiserate and share a nice meal, like that's important. It's important at any stage of life, but I feel like with the senior community, it's really important. So I came up with this idea called the Sizzling Senior Specials. I don't know if you remember that.
I
But
don't.
I literally designed this coupon booklet where I called a whole bunch. It must have been about 30 restaurants, probably close to 30, throughout the city of Quincy. I explained sort of the mission was to create, an opportunity for seniors to come out during the daytime, go to an establishment, and hopefully enjoy cuisine at their place at a discounted rate. So basically what I was doing was creating a coupon booklet for seniors. So you could go to ABC restaurant, and if you came between, 12 and 2, you got 20% off your meal. It was a howl, sort of marketing. We had this little, commercial thing that we did down at the chamber, Thousand Sudden Artery. And I don't know, I just remember like the feedback being um, like over the top positive. And I know people really, really appreciated it. That was early on. It might have been like year 3. And again, Joe, just kind of always trying to listen to people. I don't know if you remember this, but Fort River Field, like a place that was like so underserved for a really long time. Just I remember playing baseball down there as a kid, and I'd be like, oh my God, I got to go to Fort River. We used to call it jokingly the Dust Bowl because you get the wind off the ocean and just blow the dust all over you in the infield, while you're waiting for the hitter to hit the ball. And, having been given the opportunity to work in that project and secure a lot of money. And hey, let me just put this out there too. None of this is possible without, having the ability to build. I'm a bridge builder. I work with all types of people, to get a project or the job done. So, kudos to the people, I know the mayor's been serving in his capacity the entire time I've been there. So, he's been an ally with a lot of these projects. Now, Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, been an ally in many of these projects. So nothing gets done, in a singular manner. So I just want to say that before I continue. But being able to kind of roll out that whole revitalization down at Fort River Field in the clubhouse, but more importantly, the playground. And when I talk about, at times sort of the underserved community, like we had a real opportunity when we were constructing that playground to make it handicap accessible. And it costs a lot more money. And we're about $35,000 short. I'd say this is probably one of the coolest things I ever been part of. We're about $35,000 short. And it was mainly because, the rubberized flooring that we needed to get a, mobility device, like a wheelchair, onto the play surface. So there's a group of us, group of misfits, and we're just like, we're gonna get this done. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna get this done. And we, there was a group of us. They put together a fundraiser. I started making some telephone calls. We got, some major donations from Dan Quirk of Quirk Automotive and Jay Cashman of Jay Cashman Construction. I think they each donated $10,000. And then we raised about another 15. And this was in, like, I'm not even kidding you, a 3.5 week time frame. So, like, to sit there on the day when we were actually cutting the ribbon and knowing that no child in the city of Quincy, regardless of their physical capability, gets lost now and has a place to go and feel like, they're connected and they belong. Like, being able to just, like, witness that, I guess, like the sort of banding of the community, not even just the ward, but the community coming together, with the mindset of, like, we got to get this done. This is a good idea. And I can't believe there's not a playground like this. And like I said, just sitting there on the day that we kind of opened the playground to everybody, it coincidentally happened to be the 100th anniversary of Fall River Clubhouse. And knowing, like, you were just a tiny little part of that was, like, beyond words. And now being a father, like, it just had kind of a even different feeling. But I mean, again, those are the things you can do when you commit yourself to public service and listen to people. This job is about listening. I know sometimes we get caught up in using other bodily functions, maybe our mouth, but this job's about listening. And I really do believe if you listen to people, you're going to hear what's on their mind, and it helps to shape sound policies. I've talked a lot, so let me just stop there, Joe. It's kind of all coming out of me at this point.
No, this is the idea to have you on, Brad, is to let you share these experiences. It's funny, the things that you're talking about are, not policy things that you might think of, that you'd enact at the city council, but you're talking about grassroots things that affect people's lives directly, and impact them right where they live. And that's
why I get into this, Joe.
I think that describes the role of a city councilor, right?
That's who I am. I mean, one thing I would just say to anybody listening here, because it's important that the work continues. And I know there'll be some qualified people and with different ideas, which I do think is healthy. It's healthy for the system, to have fresh perspectives, new ideas. I think that's a good thing. We do have 2 projects that are already funded. One is the continued work internally on the Fall River Clubhouse. That, gosh, I really, 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 really hope I'm around to see the day when that becomes the location of a satellite senior center. So providing resources and accessibility for seniors at this end of the city is something that I came to the conclusion through listening to people is needed. And I hope that whoever comes into the Ward 2 City Council seat continues to work with the stakeholders and move that ball forward, because that is something that we not only want but desperately need. And also the trail expansion up at Faxon Park. I know you've had the Friends of Faxon Park on here a couple times, and we actually went on a hike this past weekend. So it's kind of really nice to see that group sort of finding its identity with just the utmost goal of, providing, bringing people into the natural beauty, I think, of Faxon Park. And there's a trail expansion plan that's going to happen there. I was able to get about $700,000, appropriated to us. The money's there. That's the best part about it. We can have all these ideas and talk on shows, but unless we have funding, they're just ideas on paper. But we actually have funding, so that's a really cool thing. And there's a lot of excitement up here in this end of town. And that's an area that I'll stay involved in as a private citizen, because I like the park. I use the park, and it's an issue local to me up here where I live. So I'm not going away. It'll just be a little bit different,
What would you say, Brad, is your biggest kind of regret or disappointments so far?
With respect to the council,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I really have any regrets with respect to the city council. Again, this is like a very heavy decision to me. I woke up this morning, I was just like, oh, like in a good way, because I really like the work, and it's just it's it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision, like tough decision, but it's the right one, and I know that. I feel like I would have a regret if at this moment in my life, 2021, I continued to move on. I just don't see how I would have had the time to be as effective as people tell me that I was. And that's like kind of been the crazy thing about this um, whole journey. And I'm going to talk about it tonight, but people, often say like, I would hear ward council, oh, hey kid, it's a thankless job. And, you're looking to be praised. Uh, Go find another job. Tough job. But, if you're really looking to see humanity at its finest and, really help people, like it's, uh, it's the best job on the planet in my mind. Um, Starting to get a little emotional here, but
Don't want to make you cry. That's not my goal.
yeah, no, I got to save that for tonight. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, I got to save that for tonight.
I'm
But
guessing, the fight against the compressor station is probably one area where you wished you'd succeeded a little more than you did.
we're still fighting. We're still
Okay.
in court. We're still, we get injunctions filed on all those permits. So it's not over till it's over. But I know, listen, that's a good point. Um, I remember the day one when I went to the quote open house up at the Sons of Italy during that major snowstorm. Following that journey up into where it is today, yeah, it's been heart wrenching. Uh, Again, like one of the biggest things that I can say I walk away from this moment in my life with is like I've met some beautiful people, and a lot of some of those beautiful people are members of the former residents against the compressor station. Like you talk about like diehard soldiers for a cause. Um, that's it. Al Serena, and I mean I could go right down the list, but Quincy, Weymouth, even some folks from Braintree. Yeah, I wish the success rate was a little bit higher, but like I say, nothing's over until it's over. I learned a lot about a lot of different things. That's the cool thing about a city council too. Like um, you become more than a generalist in so many different areas. You know, in my sort of, so it's like kind of steps along the way. Uh, you know, One of the neat things is when I became finance chair, and that was pretty early on, like back when we really used to cut the budget. Um, and that's a major function of the city council, cut the budget, enact policies, cut the budget. Having that role, I learned just a lot about, municipal government and how it works financially. And, I may not have always made, the Patriot Ledger or the broadsheets, but a lot of the stuff I was working on was financial. And I know that, those decisions affect everybody.
Yep.
And, my district was always one of the most diverse from a socioeconomic standpoint. And I felt like, I put myself in a position up there at the city council. I raised my hand to take on one of the committees as a whole. I drove that committee. I did a ton of work. There was never a moment where anybody walked into that city council meeting and wasn't prepared, at least from the material that I had provided to them. I did the work, and it's a lot of work. There's a ton of stuff that goes into it that people don't see. It's more than just a 2-hour meeting twice a month, to be effective. And I felt like I was able to, be the voice of the people I represent, and support stuff that I thought was in the best interest of the city as a whole, and cut stuff or make motions to cut stuff when I felt like It wasn't. Uh, no regrets. I honestly feel like today, January 19th, 2021, I look at that section of my life like absolutely no regrets. I led with my heart, and that's what you do.
Talk about being a bridge builder. You were, of course, in office with the new Four River Bridge and the Washington Street Corridor beautification project. That looks completely different than it did when you first took office.
Yeah, I full disclosure, all that credit belongs to Speaker Mariano on the bridge. Um, I don't even think I was elected when we were doing the sort of presentations, whether it was going to be a vertical lift or a bascule. So kind of opening like the old way. Yeah, so I really didn't have a ton to do with that bridge outside of, I was involved with the conversation around the East Howard repointing down the other ends. And I think that was like a smart move that was made to, create a mitigation opportunity to repoint a majorly dysfunctional intersection. So yeah, all the credit goes to Speaker Mariano on that, and I would assume too, former City Councilor Dan Raimondi.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Like, and yes, Washington Street looks a lot better than it did, and it's amazing what a tree planting program can do too. But when you look at, this was one thing I was thinking about today when I was coming home. When you look at sort of a lineage in Ward Two, um, it's pretty impressive. But one thing that I've always like noticed about these people was it was all about customer service. It was all about constituent service. It was all about helping people. Like before my time, but I've heard enough about them where I feel like I could just like Clifford, Kippy Marshall, a guy of the people, Teddy DeCristofaro, like constituent services. Bob Sarasoli, former state rep, eventually Inspector General, Constituent Services. Dan Raimondi, one of the brightest minds in Quincy politics, Constituent Services. Believe me, I heard a lot about that when I first came in. Um, Obviously now state rep, now Speaker of the House. You don't get to that level without constituent services, and I'd like to think that the number one job that I took very seriously was constituent services. Jim Sheets gave me a very invaluable piece of advice when I first came in. And what he said to me was that when somebody calls you, that is the number one most pressing thing that they have going on in their life at that moment. And it's your job to help them. And I've never, never, never lost sight of that, ever. And I could boil that that job description of the city council down to 2 words: constituent services. And if you do that appropriately, when you have your performance evaluation every 2 years in an election, people will respect and respond to that you're doing the job. If you
I'm
don't,
guessing that's your advice to your successor then, right?
you just need to pick up the phone, meet people where they're at, and find solutions. And when I talked about, keeping it real with people, um, I would always get back to people, regardless. Sometimes the answer wasn't the one that we had hoped, but it was the answer. And I feel like people can respect you, or do respect you when you get back to them. It's nothing worse than when somebody is leaning on a form of government and it's going into the abyss. And Ward Two, as I just shared with you, sort of a lineage. There's a high expectation of constituent services, as it should be.
So do you have somebody in mind, Brad, that you'd like to suggest fill out your term? I know Dan Raimondi spoke highly of you when he was thinking about leaving.
Yeah, so I know people. Well, let me take a step back. I believe the city council president this evening is going to outline the process, which I'm, full disclosure, still not 100% clear about. So from there, basically there'll be people that submit resumes. I don't know who exactly, like in totality, will submit the resume. I have a couple ideas. I know, there's some really good people that are interested in the job that reached out to me. And again, I give them the good, the bad, and the indifferent, because it's a big, this job's not about showing up to ribbon cuttings and waving at people in parades. This stuff is about like going out, answering your phone when it comes, a telephone call comes in at 11:15 at night, meeting people, on their terms and in really some of the darkest hours of their lives. That's the stuff that I've always enjoyed, and that's the realness, or the authenticity of the job. So to answer your question, because I know that's what you want me to do, I don't know exactly who's going to formally apply. I do know that regardless, I think that the term filler, if you will, the number one job qualification is going to be to answer telephone calls. It's a huge learning curve. And I will share to people that are listening in my district, I'm still 110% committed to helping with the transition, because it's a lot. The analogy goes, it's like drinking through a fire hose. That's exactly how it is. And there's a lot going on in the city. Even though it's conducted virtually now, there's still a lot going on. There's a lot to learn, and I look forward to helping with the transition for sure.
Well, I really appreciate our relationship, Brad, over the years. You're
Great.
really responsive and right willing to step up and share information with our viewers here at QATV. It's been great, and I really do appreciate it, and I thank you.
Yeah, of course, Joe. I'll miss those. Some of those nights. I remember back when the city council would sort of dwindle on into the night. I was the city council president. I'd get home at, past midnight. By the time you fall asleep, it's 1:30. You get up with the kids. Now I'm like on my way to work, having my morning conversation and debrief or download with Joe Cat. I mean, that's just another, fond memory. And you guys, like your staff, your colleagues, like incredible. You really, really are. I would spend more time with you and Mark. Right, I miss like the in your neighborhood chats. Those are great, and obviously John Clary, John and I graduated high school together. He actually broke up my no hitter in the 7th inning. Not that I've held on to it or anything, but I remind him of that sometimes. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. You guys are a quality operation, and it shows. I mean, you get the accolades from your industry peers, from throughout the years, and you guys are just great. It's a great service to the city of Quincy, and like I said, Joe, I'm still looking to stay involved as a private citizen. Maybe, just maybe, I'll start going to public hearings as a private citizen. Wouldn't that be something?
Well, if you do, we'll be there to show folks for sure.
Yeah.
And don't forget, you can become a member here at QATV and have your own show now, Brad.
Oh gosh, God help us. But seriously, Joe, appreciate your friendship and your professionalism over the years, and just want to take a quick moment, because I believe we're coming to the end, to thank my supporters, my friends, my people who, put me in this seat and literally gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. That's what that is, an opportunity of a lifetime. If you remember, I won my first race, 54 votes. People say every vote doesn't count, so thank you to the people who put me in there and gave me this opportunity. I'll be forever grateful, but I'm not going too far.
All right. Well, we look forward to that, and to you and your family, a very happy, healthy 2021 and beyond.
You as well, Joe. God bless. All the best, my friend. Pleasure to be with you.
All right. Take care.